Welcome everyone to the deep dive. Today we're taking a bit of an unusual path, going into a really fascinating piece of source material. It's a homeopathic materia medica. Now, just to be clear up front, we're looking at this historically,
Hmm.
exploring its detailed observations, the way it catalogs symptoms. We're not here to validate the medical claims scientifically today. Our mission is really to dig into excerpts about a substance called Cascarilla, also known as sweet bark, and we're using William Boericke's Materia Medica for this.
Yeah, and it's definitely a different kind of deep dive because a Materia Medica, it's not like your standard medical text at all. It's a very specific type of reference book. It lists substances and the effects they were observed to have through a very particular lens. So what you'll hear is super detailed, really focused on symptoms. It gives a unique insight into how these things were understood back then.
Okay, so let's jump right into Cascarilla then.
Yeah.
The source straight away points to its main action being on the digestive system,
Yeah.
especially with constipation. But here's something that, well, it jumped out at me immediately, a really specific detail, an aversion to the smell of tobacco. It sounds almost random, doesn't it? So precise.
Right. And that's actually really typical of this kind of source, that level of granularity, including something that doesn't seem immediately connected to digestion, like the tobacco smell aversion. That's characteristic. It shows that holistic symptom by symptom observation method they use. They noted down pretty much everything they observed, no matter how small or, seemingly separate from the main issue. It's all about building that complete symptom picture.
Okay. So it's like creating a whole portrait of symptoms, not just focusing on one area. All right. So beyond those general points, the text really zooms in on the stomach. And there are some pretty interesting symptoms listed here, too, like hunger after meals that feels a bit backwards, right? And also a desire for hot drinks, kind of.
Yeah.
But the thing that really seems prominent is nausea and vomiting. The source actually says a very marked inclination to vomit, strong wording.
Exactly. And it's not just like a vague stomach ache either. The source mentions pain in stomach is from a shock
Ah,
and pressing colic. So if you connect those dots, it suggests a very specific kind of GI distress, not just feeling sick, but sharp, intense pain coupled with that strong urge to vomit. It really tries to capture the quality of the feeling, you could say.
that level of detail. Wow. And it just keeps going, doesn't it? Further down the digestive tract. Looking at the rectum and bowels, the descriptions are, well, they're really quite thorough. It mentions constipation, stools hard, covered with mucus, and it even compares it to graph, which the source clarifies refers to graphites, right? Another substance they apparently studied for similar things.
Yes, exactly. Graphites. That comparison gives context within their own system, a kind of cross reference. And it's not just straightforward constipation being described. The source also points out bright blood with stool, and then this pattern of diarrhea alternating with hard, lumpy stool.
Yeah. So you see, they weren't just noting one issue, they were observing this dynamic, sometimes contradictory set of bowel problems, trying to get the whole picture, right? The whole picture. And it's not just about the stools themselves, is it? The source connects these bowel issues with other things like backache and lassitude, fatigue, basically. And it mentions that griping pain comes before the bowel issues. Plus, there's this very specific gnawing pain high up in rectum. So yeah, clearly these aren't seen as separate things, but all part of one complex picture, a symptom complex for Cascarilla.
Precisely. And that's really the key, isn't it? How these detailed descriptions build up a whole profile. All these observations, the type of stool, the accompanying pain, the backache, the fatigue, they all weave together. They define this unique kind of digestive distress that in this system was associated with Cascarilla. It's almost like they were trying to pinpoint and name a very specific kind of suffering.
That's a really interesting way to put it, naming the suffering. And just to cover all the bases from the excerpt, the source does give specific dosage information. It says first to third potency, which for anyone not familiar, potency in this context is about the dilution level. It's a core concept in homeopathy, so it's just a factual instruction given in the text itself. Okay, so let's try and wrap this up a bit. Cascarilla, or sweet bark, based on this materia medica, it primarily hits the digestive system, causes constipation, stomach issues like that, marked nausea and vomiting, but also these very distinct associated symptoms of the tobacco aversion, the specific rectal pain, the backache. It's quite a unique bundle.
It is. And I think the real value in looking at sources like this, these incredibly detailed symptom lists,
Good.
is the window it gives us into just how precise their observations were, even if it's, coming from a different framework. It forces you to appreciate the subtle differences they were trying to capture and how people experienced illness. It shows a very particular way of knowing a specific historical epistemology of illness, really.
Yeah, it definitely makes you pause and think. The sheer level of observation needed to note down symptoms that are so precise and sometimes, like you said, counterintuitive. So here's something for you, the listener, to consider. What really stands out to you when you think about this level of detail in these older texts? Ponder how these tiny, seemingly unconnected details, like, not liking tobacco smell alongside specific bowel issues, how they're brought together to create one single profile. What might that suggest? Maybe about connections in the body we don't always think about, or just about how incredibly specific observation from any perspective can really illuminate a subject, something to think about.